You're listening to Trek FM.
Welcome, Trek FM listeners. This is a podcast from here to there. Part of our celebration of Star Trek's golden anniversary from there to here is a daily podcast that brings the entire franchise to fans in the span of just 1 year. Today's episode, we're going to be talking about DS9 or D Space Nine episode, The Siege of AR-558, and a Voyager episode, Timeless. With me also is
Caitlin.
Okay, so let's start with the Siege of AR-558. During a supply run to AR-558, Sisko finds the defending Starfleet unit with over two-thirds of the troops dead and the remaining soldiers' morale extremely low. When the Defiant comes under attack, Sisko, Bashir, Dax, Nog, and even Quark choose to remain on the planet, which I don't think Quark really volunteered, which is about to come under attack by a much larger contingent of Jem'Hadar soldiers. So, now we get to the nitty-gritty of the Dominion War. You know, the ground troops, the army that we do not see or have, according to the Federation or Starfleet. But this episode resonates with me a lot, and it's mainly because I went to Iraq as well. One of my favorite lines in this episode was I can't remember which one who said it or in the episode, but one of the guys said, and he quoted some kind of Federation regulation stating that they're only supposed to be out there for 90 days, and they've been out there for 6 months or something like that.
5 months already.
5 months. That's right. Mm-hmm. And it just reminded me when we went to Iraq, we were told the same thing. 6 months, or no, it started out 3 months, and then 6, and then 9, and then they said, "Screw it, we're gonna keep you guys out there for a year," because we were, I guess you could say, a QRF, quick reaction force. I was actually stationed in Italy, and we were the quick reaction force in case something happened. So yeah, it just resonated more with me on that, and just some of the things that they were talking about, like one of the soldiers was flipping the sight on the phaser rifle, and he was like, my finger was needed something to do, and it's just like it's. Yeah, I don't want to go deep into it because obviously being in Iraq, but definitely it definitely leaves you a different person during and after. So it definitely hit home a lot. What do you think?
I can totally see that. I heard this is one of the episodes that I heard about when I first started participating in the Star Trek fandom. But for this podcast was the first time I actually sat down and watched it. And I can't believe how much emotion they packed into this 45-minute block. It was utterly amazing. It felt like afterwards, after the closing credits, it's like I had been down there with them. I don't want to diminish or put lightly anyone who has served in combat, but it was just... This episode was just that well produced to convey what it felt like to be out there.
Yeah, and and you're right. Yeah, there was definitely a lot of emotions, like you said, crammed into 45 minutes, and it very well could have been a 2-hour or a 2-hour episode or something like that. But to me, they conveyed it quite well especially in 45 minutes. It basically, it's not everything. But they brought across the important values of being in combat. Being in the trenches. It's just like that one Bashir episode where Jake is in a field hospital and experience it for the first time, and that's exactly how I felt when I was there for the first 10 days in Iraq, and it was scary.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Anyone that doesn't say that it wasn't scary is well, not crazy, but yeah, yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Well, I came away from this episode with, like, I've heard that people look down on Star Trek Insurrection as a not very good movie, and then after seeing this episode, it's like I can totally see why people rag on Insurrection, because it's just pales in, the 90 minutes of TNG, Battle for Paradise pales in comparison to this 45-minute episode, and I had to look up who was the composer for most of Deep Space Nine, and I think this episode was under Dennis McCarthy. I think one of the reasons why the emotions resonated so much with me without having any combat experience was the music. Just the key points when they had a score behind them, and then the points when it was just absolutely silent and all you heard was the dialogue and the sound effects.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, most definitely. Yeah, the music definitely brings out more of the emotion into it, especially that quietness right before something happens. You
yes.
just know it. You just know it. Every soldier that's listening, or even Marine or Airman or Coast Guard, it doesn't even matter which one, knows exactly what I'm talking about when it's that. It's like that silent moment before Lone Survivor, where everything when the hammer gets dropped and it just all hell breaks loose. And it's like, whoo, that's exactly what it is. So let's move on to the next episode.
All right, Voyager's Timeless. Voyager, the show, celebrates its 100th episode by throwing a party. Woo. And in episode, Voyager, the ship, celebrates having a new warp core and has the very same party. Meanwhile, a future Chakotay and Harry Kim are willing to break the law to send a message back in time and prevent the special warp journey that Voyager's about to take. So, Richard, kind of a totally different episode from the Deep Space Nine part of this block. What did you think of Voyager?
Yeah, this is the episode where they show Voyager crashing into an ice planet, and what was it? This was also where basically it's Kim. Well, in a sense, it is, but Kim has guilt over basically killing everyone on this ship except for the two that are in the Delta Flyer who managed to actually get home all right. And I can, it's a really good episode. I mean, it's obviously one of the more people I hear or talk to about Voyager like this episode because it's different. I mean, it's the what if they were to try something outside of what they're used to, like a new propulsion system or something like that. And I actually like it. It's a very good story. I think it's a very good story. What do you think?
I agree with you. It was just nice to see the crew celebrating something good for once. And then in terms of the episode as a whole, it's one of the few where Garrett Wang gets to shine, pushing buttons as the ensign, the green ensign as the ops officer. He doesn't get a lot to do, a lot of scenery to chew on, but put him in the future where, he's dealing with the survivor's guilt, and there were scenes where he just, stood out. Older Chakotay, not as much, but I think it was because it was primarily a vehicle for Harry and not so much Chakotay. But it's an interesting premise of, like, all the times that Voyager tried to get home quicker than standard warp travel. It's interesting to note. I keep up with the Voyager novels that they did, like, the relaunch after Endgame, and the Voyager has a fleet of ships that they return to the Delta Quadrant, and they now travel by slipstream, which is what they were trying to do in this episode. So they just were a little early, and that's why they didn't work out. But it's just interesting that it's kind of standard travel in the books now.
Right, and yeah, exactly. I actually I don't read a lot of them. I'm actually starting to read them now. But I've been more caught up in the Deep Space Nine books, and especially the new ones that just came out not so long ago. What was it? Prey, I think is the latest one that came out. Definitely a different way of traveling, because it works obviously because they got a little bit thanks to the linguistic well, we'll talk about him later. But thanks to him, we can they were introduced to a new type of propulsion, quantum substring drive, which seems to be standard travel now. So, well, so Caitlin, where can everyone find you on the internet?
Well, there's one place that I hang out the most. That's Twitter, and you can find me tweeting under Walsh Caitlin. It's my last name, first name. But I'm also a part of the Babel Conference, and I'm trying to keep up with that and be more active on Facebook as well.
All
What about yourself, Richard?
Well, they can find me on Twitter at xransom, and I'm also on the Babel Conference. I pop in here and there and try to keep up with what's going on. There's so much going on in the Babel Conference. Well then, next episode we have Infinite Regress, a Voyager episode, and also Deep Space Nine, Covenant.